Travelling north of Brisbane, you pass through a variety of country, from fertile plains to tall timber. Cattle staring at you from the shadows quickly give way to sun-kissed oranges. 400 miles north of Brisbane lies the Callide Valley, famed for coal and cotton. We were headed for Billawheeler in the Callide Valley to make a film of the cotton harvest. A cotton specialist was on hand to see that a faithful record was made of the good cotton and the cotton that was not so good. Quite a humorous chap. Thought it was very funny when I told him I'd swallowed half a ton of dust on the way up. And since I couldn't get any sympathy, we got on with the job. Let's see, everything here, cameras, tripods, reflectors, lights, films. Always seems to be a lot of unnecessary stuff, but somehow it gets used. It wasn't long before a harvester appeared. These ingenious machines normally harvest 5 acres a day from the time the dew on the cotton dries until dark. A harvester can handle a crop of 2,000 pounds of seed cotton to the acre. This particular machine is one of the many owned and operated by the Cotton Marketing Board. The large basket can hold up to 800 pounds of cotton. Trash, that is leaves and twigs, can lower the grade of the seed cotton. Notice the foreign matter in this sample. Nature produces cotton free of trash. It's a pity to spoil it. The specialist explained that there were many things to watch in growing good quality cotton. The right land preparation, the right seeding rate, proper thinning, good weed control, good pest control. For example, he said, it's of course essential that the spacing of the rows suits the harvester. If the rows are correctly spaced, the wheels of the harvester travel down the center of the rows. The cotton bolls are not knocked from the plants, and the plants themselves are not broken. This is important because, unlike wheat, the harvester will be traveling over the same ground for the second pick when more balls have ripened. To get the wheel to travel down the center of the rows should be planted between 38 and 42 inches apart. If the row width is extended to 44 inches, the machine will damage the plants. You can easily check row width for yourself if you look at a harvested field and observe the tire tracks. When they're in the middle of the furrow, the plants are safest from injury. Of course, not everyone uses machine harvesters. It's a matter of personal preference. However, when weeds have got out of control, picking must be done by hand. The tall weed is Sesbania and quickly grows taller than cotton if it's not controlled. Bellvine entwines itself around the cotton bush, interfering with cultivation and harvesting. Speedy weed grows vigorously, using up valuable moisture. Like a serpent, pigweed travels slowly over the ground, using up the moisture so vital to the life of the cotton plant. Cracks in the ground are telltales of stress for moisture. Speargrass, which worms its way into the swags of cattle drovers in the north, tightly clings to the cotton fibers, making it difficult to remove. The most difficult to remove, however, is Mossman River grass. Nagura burr seed is about the same size as cottonseed, and so it's difficult to separate in the ginning process. This is, in fact, a cotton crop so overgrown with weeds that it's useless. It's easy to see the effect of weeds on the cotton itself. The bush makes poor growth, the bolls are small, the fiber is weak and short. It's hard to believe that this is a cotton crop. But by the time the grower had realized what was happening, it was too late for him to take control measures. A good old Australian mud map will show just what can be done to prevent weeds like this. Control starts when the cotton is planted. Cross cultivation removes the weeds in the rows. As the bushes grow, it will only be possible to cultivate along the rows, and frequent cultivation may be necessary if weeds are proving difficult to control. Clean cultivation is essential for machine harvesting. In this case, the seeding rate was too low. Wide gaps between plants occur, and pigweed has seized the opportunity to fill the gaps, robbing the plants of the moisture they need. If thinning is not carried out, then the stand will be too dense. Pinched bolls may be formed, resulting in poor grades. Note how the close spacing has produced spindly plants. The bottom bolls are over 12 inches from ground level. If the cotton seed is sown at the rate of 12 to 15 pounds per acre, that is about 5 to 7 seeds to the foot, then sufficient plants should grow to allow even thinning. Good results are obtained by using a split wheel type of planter fitted with disc openers. We'll short circuit the growing period on our mud map and imagine that most of the seeds have germinated, giving a dense stand. It is now necessary to reduce the number of plants. Thinning may be done by cross-harrowing so as to leave the plants about 1 foot apart. This minimizes weed growth and gives each cotton plant sufficient moisture and plant food to grow into healthy bushes and produce good quality cotton. As soon as the crop has been harvested, the cotton bushes should be plowed in. One reason for this is to prevent insects from being carried over to next season's crop. The main reason for plowing in early, however, is to conserve more moisture. By plowing the land as soon after harvest as possible, any rain that falls is trapped in the open soil, and no water is lost in runoff. In this way, moisture is stored for next year's crop. Where plants are large, several diskings may be needed to chop up the old bushes so that they'll decompose more quickly. Rotary slashers do a good job too. The sooner the old crop becomes incorporated in the soil, the better the seed bed for next year's crop. Now here's a crop that was grown on late plowed land. Without sufficient moisture, bushes are stunted. The pinched bolls will give a poor yield. A hot day will cause cotton plants that are short of moisture to wilt. Further proof is when the ground itself cracks. This shortage of water may be caused by late land preparation or sometimes by the presence of weeds on the fallow during the period it should have been storing moisture for the coming cotton crop. It's well to remember that weeds are losing water through their leaves during the hours of sunlight. Water is absorbed by their roots from the soil, water you can ill afford to lose. This grassland was plowed early and deeply to hold the most moisture. A clean fallow not only traps the moisture, but retains it for the cotton crop to come. Here's a crop that was grown after a 10-month fallow. The weeds were eliminated by cross and inter-row cultivation. The yield was almost 1,500 pounds of seed cotton per acre, and the cotton was classed in the higher grades. To produce good yields of first quality cotton, it is necessary to understand how moisture can be lost, so that every effort can be made to conserve it. Bulk handling of cotton is now common in the Callide. Harvesters empty their baskets straight into trucks or trailers. These can be quickly taken into the ginnery in Rockhampton. Well, these were some of the facts that the specialist informed me about growing good cotton. He advised me to see the manager of the Cotton Marketing Board's ginnery in Rockhampton about cleaning and grading. The The first part of the process was the unloading of the bulk trucks. The manager said, if the cotton is too tightly packed, the grade may be affected. It slows down the unloading too and delays operations at the ginnery. Some of the growers would get more for their cotton if it were not for the leaves, the weeds, and so on that are mixed with it. This trash may not all come out in the ginning. Also, cotton is stained by plant sap from the green leaves. And this once again results in a lower grade. The seed of Mossman rivergrass becomes so tightly meshed with the cotton fibers that even the most modern ginning machinery cannot remove it. Mossman rivergrass makes cotton practically unsaleable. When the cotton has been ginned and freed from as much foreign material as possible, it's graded in a manner similar to wool classing. Samples from each lot are brought to the grading room, where a sub-sample is taken and tested for fiber strength. Variation in growing conditions, such as lack of moisture, weaken the fiber. To check the length of the staple, the sample is laid on a velvet-covered board and the fibers laid straight. The average length is then measured. Experienced graders can estimate the length to a 32nd of an inch. Cotton shorter than 15/16 of an inch is not wanted by the spinners and cannot be used for spinning and weaving. It's on the grading table that trashy cotton stands out. Both the specialist in cotton growing and the manager of the ginnery made it quite clear that weed control, adequate moisture, and freedom from trash are essential for good yields and first quality cotton.